How could someone vanish without a trace in bright daylight? In March of 2006, Brian Shaffer, a 27-year-old medical student, stepped into a crowded bar in Columbus, Ohio, and simply disappeared. Surveillance cameras captured him entering the premises, chatting with friends, laughing, but never leaving. No exit footage, no sign of struggle, no abandoned belongings, just a missing man in a place teeming with witnesses. Outside, the city hummed with life, yet inside, the dimly lit corridors of the bar hide a void where Brian should have walked out. Nearby, the rolling forests of Hocking Hills, with its caves, cliffs, and shadowed trails, whisper possibilities. Could someone slip unseen into the labyrinth of nature? Footprints fade into mud, shadows stretch across rocky ravines, and faint echoes of laughter dissolve into nothingness. The question lingers: how does a person simply vanish, leaving only the unsettling silence behind? My name is Harris, and you're watching Harris Investigates. Today, we're diving into one of the eeriest and most baffling missing person cases in Columbus, Ohio, the disappearance of Brian Shaffer. A young medical student, full of promise, vanished without a trace from a crowded bar, leaving friends, family, and investigators grasping for answers. Every lead seems to twist into a dead end, every clue dissolves into uncertainty, and the silence that surrounds his disappearance is almost tangible. Stay with me until the end. Some of the details are deeply unsettling, and the more you uncover, the harder it becomes to explain how someone could simply disappear in a place so ordinary, so public. By the time this story unfolds, you may start to wonder if ordinary spaces can hide the extraordinary mysteries. Hocking Hills is a place that seems almost enchanted at first glance, a national park of dense forests, rugged cliffs, winding trails, and shadowed caves carved over millennia. But beneath its natural beauty lies a history that chills the spine. The park's remote corners, steep ravines, and labyrinthine caves have long concealed dangers, sudden drops, unstable rock formations, and areas where even the most experienced hikers can lose their way. It's a place where a misstep can turn ordinary exploration into a nightmare, and where silence can stretch for hours without a single human voice. Over the years, Hocking Hills has become a quiet backdrop to a troubling pattern. Hikers, students, and travelers have vanished here under mysterious circumstances, leaving behind nothing but unanswered questions and faint traces that disappear as quickly as they appear. Some are found days later, disoriented and shaken, but others are never seen again. When Brian Shaffer disappeared, the story of Hocking Hills loomed in the background, a landscape that can swallow a person whole, hide the evidence, and leave no explanation for the ones left searching. The shadows of the trees and the twists of the trails make you wonder, could someone simply step off the beaten path and vanish, as if the earth itself had claimed them? The park's beauty masks a darker truth, that here, even the most ordinary outing can dissolve into the inexplicable, and every disappearance leaves a haunting question: where do they go when no trace remains? Brian Shaffer was 27 years old, a medical student with a bright future, known among friends for his quick wit, easy laugh, and a love for hiking and exploring the outdoors. He was the kind of person who could light up a room with a joke, yet quietly carried a curiosity for the unknown, often wandering off on trails to watch the way sunlight cut through the trees or to explore a hidden cave. His disappearance, however, would leave a void far deeper than any trail could ever hide. On March 31, 2006, Brian joined friends at a popular bar near Ohio State University. Cameras captured him walking through the doors, talking and laughing, grabbing drinks, and joking with his companions. But then, something strange occurred.
When his friends left, assuming he would follow, there was no sign of him leaving. Surveillance footage would reveal no exit, not through the front, not through the side, not even the emergency doors.
The bar was busy, filled with students, laughter, and music, yet Brian seemed to vanish into thin air. Staff and patrons later reported glimpses of him talking, moments of hesitation, but no one saw him leave. His jacket, wallet, and keys remained behind, untouched on the coat rack. Phone calls to friends went unanswered, and his absence went unnoticed for hours. Investigators scoured the surrounding streets, alleys, and nearby trails, combed through Hocking Hill's vast forests and shadowed caves, but nothing surfaced. No footprints led into the woods, no abandoned vehicle, no cryptic clue. It was as if the ground itself had swallowed him. Each passing day only deepened the mystery. Friends remembered his last words, the casual laughter, the ordinary night that ended with a man simply gone. In the weeks that followed, searches expanded, tips poured in, yet the trail ran cold at every turn. The more people looked, the more impossible it seemed. How could someone, alive and present one moment, disappear the next, leaving behind nothing but questions that refused to fade? Brian Shaffer's disappearance remains an unsettling reminder that even in places we think we know, a crowded bar, a familiar street, a forest trail, the world can still hold secrets that defy reason, and ordinary nights can become forever haunted by absence. From the moment Brian Shaffer was reported missing, the search for him became an all-consuming effort. Authorities mobilized. Volunteers scoured the surrounding streets, the dense alleys of Columbus, and the shadowed trails of Hocking Hills. Rescue dogs traced paths through the underbrush, flashlights cut through the darkness of caves and wooded ravines, and every creek, rock ledge, and hidden trail was examined. Yet, despite the intensity of the search, nothing conclusive emerged. No footprints led into the woods, no discarded belongings marked a trail, and the last known location, a crowded bar, offered no hint of where he had gone. Family and friends pleaded for answers. "It's like he was erased," one investigator said. "We've looked everywhere, and it's as if the ground itself swallowed him." Theories began to take shape, each more unsettling than the last. Could it have been a tragic accident in the remote forests nearby? A sudden misstep into a ravine or cave, swallowed by darkness before anyone could notice? Some whispered of animal encounters, though the area's wildlife seemed unlikely to account for a disappearance so complete. Others speculated on abduction, a stranger waiting for the right moment in a crowded bar, yet no witness could recall seeing anyone suspicious. And then there are the stranger ideas, the anomalies that defy logic. Did he somehow step into a shadowed corridor between reality and the unknown, lost in a place that leaves no trace? The lack of physical evidence only feeds the unease. Every angle is plausible, and yet none can be confirmed. Weeks turned into months, and tips poured in, from mysterious sightings to cryptic messages, but all dissolved into dead ends. Each theory leaves the same haunting question unanswered. How does a man vanish completely, leaving nothing behind? Not footprints, not a wallet, not even a whisper of movement. In the end, the search and the speculation create a tension that refuses to ease, a puzzle that might never be solved, and a silence that continues to echo in the spaces Brian Shaffer once occupied. Brian Shaffer's disappearance is far from the only mystery to shadow the Ohio landscape. Hocking Hills and its surrounding areas have long held secrets of missing hikers, students, and travelers, often young, healthy, and seemingly careful, who vanish without warning. In some cases, people disappear along isolated trails, near caves, or at the edge of ravines, leaving no trace, no note,
no sign of struggle. Across the country, the pattern repeats. Young adults vanishing from bars, college campuses, or wooded parks, sometimes in broad daylight, sometimes at night, with the common thread being sudden absence and vanished evidence. In Brian's case, there are unsettling coincidences. Some hikers have reported glimpses of a figure in the woods, fleeting and unplaceable, moments before a disappearance. Items left behind in strange positions, trails that appear carefully avoided by anyone searching. Even the surveillance footage that captured Brian entering the bar shows brief, almost imperceptible movements in the background, shadows or people whose presence remains unexplained. Experts and amateur sleuths alike note the terrain itself seems complicit. Caves, ravines, and dense forests that swallow sound and vision, creating pockets of invisibility. The timing is curious too. Most vanishings occur during routine nights, ordinary weekends, when no one expects the world to turn mysterious. Young adults, often alone or in small groups, are disproportionately affected. Taken together, the patterns form a quiet, haunting puzzle. Ordinary spaces, a bar, a hiking trail, a familiar path, become thresholds to the inexplicable. The coincidences, the terrain, the timing, the demographics, they hint at a system or a force, yet none can be proven. Each disappearance leaves only echoes, a creeping sense that some places and some nights hold secrets that refuse to be understood. Brian Shaffer walked into a bar one night, full of life and laughter, and vanished without a trace. Surveillance cameras captured him entering, friends remembered his jokes, yet no one saw him leave. The surrounding streets, the shadowed trails of Hocking Hills, the caves and ravines nearby, all were searched, scoured, and examined, but nothing emerged. Footprints fade, trails end, and every lead dissolved into silence. Over the years, patterns emerge. Young adults disappearing along isolated paths, ordinary nights turning into mysteries, items left behind in ways that make no sense. Strange glimpses, fleeting shadows, and odd coincidences hint at something beyond explanation, yet nothing concrete. To this day, Brian Shaffer remains missing, leaving more questions than answers. His disappearance is a haunting reminder of how fragile certainty can be and how quickly the ordinary can turn into the unexplainable. If you have a theory about what might have happened, share it in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the unexplained.